There's a moment that almost no one talks about. It doesn't happen suddenly. It creeps in quietly. One day you're walking just fine. The next, your knees feel stiff when you stand up. A few weeks later, climbing stairs starts to feel like effort. And then one morning, you hesitate before taking your first step. Not because you're tired, but because something doesn't feel right. And here's the uncomfortable truth most people ignore. It's not just aging. It's what you're eating. Because certain foods, the ones sitting in your kitchen right now, could be silently weakening your muscles, stiffening your joints, and slowly taking away your ability to move freely. But here's where it gets surprising. At the same time, there are a few powerful foods, simple, affordable, everyday foods, that can do the exact opposite. They can help your body move again, help your joints feel lighter, help your legs feel stronger, even after 60. So let me ask you something. Right now, when you stand up from a chair, do you feel completely steady, or do you need a second to adjust? Be honest. And if you feel even a little hesitation, then what you're about to hear could change the way you walk for the rest of your life. Because today, we're going to uncover 8 powerful foods that quietly help seniors walk without pain and restore something far more valuable than strength: your independence. And number 4, almost no one talks about it, but it may be the missing piece your body has been waiting for. Now, imagine a 72-year-old man. Let's call him Ahmed. He used to walk every morning. Simple routine, nothing special. But over time, his steps got shorter, slower, heavier. He blamed age. His doctor told him this is normal. But something changed when his daughter adjusted just a few things in his diet. Not expensive supplements, not complicated routines, just food. Within weeks, he noticed something subtle. He wasn't thinking about his steps anymore. And that is where everything begins to change. Because mobility isn't just about muscles. It's about inflammation. It's about nerve health. It's about how your body repairs itself every single day. And what most people don't realize is some of the most powerful support for your movement comes from what you put on your plate. Let's start with something incredibly simple, a food that many people either ignore or completely misunderstand: leafy greens. Now, before you lose interest, stay with me, because this isn't just about eating healthy. There's a reason experts consistently emphasize greens like spinach, kale, and Swiss chard. They are loaded with magnesium. And here's why that matters. Magnesium plays a key role in muscle relaxation. Without enough of it, your muscles don't fully release after contracting. That's when you feel tightness, cramps, stiffness, and over time, that stiffness turns into limited movement. But here's where it gets interesting. Many seniors are actually low in magnesium without even knowing it. Not because they don't eat enough food, but because their body absorbs less as they age. So even if your diet hasn't changed, your body has. And this is where things start to shift. Because when you consistently add magnesium-rich foods, something subtle happens. Your movements feel smoother. Not overnight, but gradually. And that's the key. Most people expect instant results, but real change happens quietly. Now, let's move to something most people already have in their kitchen, but they don't realize its true power. Fatty fish, salmon, sardines, mackerel. At first glance, it just looks like protein. But what most people don't realize is these foods are rich in omega-3 fatty acids. And omega-3s are one of the most researched nutrients when it comes to joint health. Studies have shown that omega-3s help reduce inflammation in the body. And inflammation is one of the biggest hidden causes of pain while walking. It's not always visible. You don't always feel it directly, but it builds up in your knees, in your hips, in your lower back, and slowly your movement becomes restricted. But here's where it gets surprising. Reducing inflammation isn't about removing one food, it's about consistently adding the right ones. And omega-3 rich foods are one of the simplest ways to do that. Now imagine this, a 68-year-old woman who wakes up every morning with stiffness in her knees. It takes her a few minutes just to feel normal. After adding omega-3 rich foods regularly, she doesn't suddenly feel like she's 20 again. But one day, she realizes something. She stood up and didn't think about her knees. And that moment is everything. Because freedom of movement isn't loud. It's quiet. It's the absence of pain. Now, there's another food that people often associate with energy, but they don't realize how deeply it affects mobility. Eggs. Yes, simple eggs. But here's what most people overlook. Eggs are rich in high-quality protein and vitamin D, and both of these are critical for muscle strength. As we age, we naturally lose muscle mass. It's called sarcopenia, and it's one of the main reasons people feel weaker, even if they're not sick. But here's the problem. Most seniors don't eat enough protein. Not because they don't want to, but because their appetite changes. Meals get smaller, protein intake drops, and slowly, muscles weaken. But here's where things change. Even small increases in protein intake can help maintain muscle function. And when muscles stay strong, walking becomes easier. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed someone who walks with confidence? Not fast, not aggressively, just steady. That steadiness often comes from muscle strength, not luck. Now, we're about to get into something that almost no one talks about. And this is where things get really interesting. Beets. Yes, beets. Most people see them as just another vegetable. But what most don't realize is, beets are rich in nitrates, and nitrates help improve blood flow. Better blood flow means more oxygen to your muscles. More oxygen means less fatigue, more endurance. And this is where things change. Because sometimes the problem isn't your joints, it's your circulation. And improving blood flow can make walking feel lighter, almost effortless. Now imagine this. You're walking and instead of feeling tired after a few minutes, you feel like you can keep going. That's not just fitness, that's circulation. And here's where it gets surprising. Many people spend money on expensive supplements trying to achieve this, when something as simple as beets can support it naturally. Now, there's another food that most people completely underestimate. Nuts. Almonds, walnuts, cashews. They seem small, but they are packed with nutrients that support joint health. Healthy fats, magnesium, vitamin E. And these nutrients work together to reduce oxidative stress. Now, that might sound technical, but here's what it really means. Your body is constantly under stress, from aging, from lifestyle, from environment. And over time, this stress damages your cells, including the ones in your joints. But certain foods help protect those cells, and nuts are one of them. Now, let's pause for a second, because what we've talked about so far isn't about miracle cures. It's about consistency, small choices repeated daily. And this is where most people get it wrong. They look for dramatic change, but mobility is built quietly. Now, there's one more food that ties everything together, and this is where things really shift. Bone broth. Now, I know some people love it, some people ignore it, but here's what matters. Bone broth contains collagen, and collagen is a key component of your joints. As you age, collagen production decreases, and that's when joints start to feel less cushioned, less flexible, more painful. But here's where it gets interesting. Supporting collagen doesn't just affect your joints, it affects how you move, how smoothly your body transitions from one step to the next. And this is where things change. Because when your joints feel supported, your confidence increases, and confidence is a huge part of mobility. Now, we're getting close to something important, because there's one final piece that most people completely overlook. Hydration. Yes, water. It sounds simple, almost too simple. But here's the truth. Even mild dehydration can affect your joints. It reduces lubrication, it increases stiffness, and over time, it makes movement harder. But here's what most people don't realize. As we age, our sense of thirst decreases, so even if your body needs water, you may not feel it. And that's where problems begin. Now imagine this. You drink enough water consistently, and suddenly your body feels just a little more fluid, a little more responsive. That little difference adds up. Now, take a moment. Think about everything we've just discussed. None of these foods are rare, none of them are expensive, but together they create something powerful. They support your muscles, your joints, your circulation, and most importantly, they support your independence. Because walking without pain isn't just about movement. It's about freedom. Freedom to go where you want, when you want, without hesitation. And here's the most important part. It's never too late to start. Even small changes can create noticeable results over time. So if something in this video made you think, made you reflect, then start small. Add one food, then another. Let your body respond. And most importantly, pay attention to how you feel, because your body always tells you the truth. And if this helped you in any way, share it with someone who might need it, because sometimes the smallest information can change someone's entire life. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.